So after the insane news yesterday regarding Call of Duty 2020 and the whole thing that Raven Software was going to be leading it with Sledgehammer helping them, because Sledgehammer is a much smaller development studio now. A lot of people have been leaving it to go to 2K, and a lot of people have just been leaving it in general. So Sledgehammer was not looking too good, and that's kind of why Raven Software took over, and they were going to be the lead studio for Call of Duty 2020, which was in development for the past year, and they've been working on a Cold War era game. Now, what happened? There was conflicts between the two studios, so Treyarch decided to step in, or not? They didn't. Activision told Treyarch to step in, and obviously, I don't think Treyarch had a choice. And now Treyarch will be leading this new game with Sledgehammer and Raven supporting it. Now, a lot of people took this as bad news, and I didn't take it as bad or good news. I took it as interesting news because I really don't see how we can call it bad news yet. And for someone who loves Treyarch a lot, it's also not good news for them either. And someone who hates Treyarch a lot, it's really not bad news for them either. You know what I mean? It's like it's neither good or bad. I think that's how people should be looking at this. Because look, the fact that the game sounds like it's in a mess state is pretty bad in its own right? That's not a good thing. But we've had many Call of Duties where they've been like that for the first year. I mean, I look at every Call of Duty and I realize I don't think we've had one Call of Duty in like a good amount of years that hasn't had a bunch of behind-the-scenes development issues. So far, it's sounding like Modern Warfare 4 has not had any of those issues. So I have really high hopes for Modern Warfare 4, more hopes than I have for any other Call of Duty, because there hasn't been any behind-the-scenes development issues that we've heard of course. Black Ops 4 had a lot of shit going down in terms of, scrapping campaigns and adding in Battle Royale last minute, all these different things. And a lot of these problems stem from Activision just not knowing how to be a good goddamn company. But sometimes they do have to do with the developers. There's stuff with World War II that went down. A lot of stuff that happened post-launch with World War II as well. IW, we know a lot of shit what was going down with Infinite Warfare. Black Ops 3 had some issues behind the scenes. There's just so many issues that just go on that delay development of the Call of Duty game, which is kind of upsetting because it's upsetting, but it's also a good thing, because when you realize that every game we've gotten is not the full potential of these development studios. Because when you hear that they have all these behind-the-scenes problems, you know that this is not their best work. If this was their best work, then it would be a little bit more disappointing, because it's like, well, that's definitely not that it's not that amazing, right? I love the Call of Duty games. I still do. I love all the new ones to a degree. Some of them more than others. Some of them not so much. I still enjoy all of them. But when I hear that these games aren't their full potential, that's actually kind of good to hear, because that means that they could possibly do that in the future to their full potential. But right now it's sounding like COD 2020 is not going to be one of those full potential games. It's going to have problems with it because they're already a year behind in development. Now, I don't understand why Activision couldn't just delay the game for a year and just have it be released, maybe not a year, maybe just 6 months or something. Do something completely different, have it come out in May 2021 or something like that. I don't know, just an extra 6 months can actually do some really good for the company itself, or for the game itself. And the reason why I say they should delay it is not for Black Ops 5's sake. Now, I'm just going to call it Black Ops 5 because that's what people are saying it's going to be called. I really don't think it will be, to be honest. But not for Black Ops 5's sake. Personally, I think this game could still be really good, and I think they can make it work, because people are acting like they're a year behind in development, which technically they are. But it's not like Sledgehammer and Raven have not done anything in the past year. They've done stuff. Even if it's in a mess state, they still have stuff. I'm sure they've done a lot of the campaign. I'm sure they've done a lot of different multiplayer maps and guns, and probably, the basis of whatever third mode they have. I guarantee you they already have a lot of that done. So regardless of them being behind, and I know Treyarch is probably going to be scrapping a lot of what they have been working on, they're also going to keep a lot of it. Now, the reason why they're going to keep a lot of it is because Sledgehammer and Raven are still there. They're still going to be helping. And that's another really good thing to hear, that Sledgehammer and Raven are going to be helping. That means they're going to have triple the amount of hands on deck for this game, which I think could be good. It really could. That just means more people working. That just means more product to come out with, which the weird thing how the weird thing that this does is, how is it going to affect Call of Duty 2021? Is that going to be Infinity Ward's game? Is Infinity Ward going to be forced to develop a game in a short amount of time? I hope not. I hope 2021 is a year without a new Call of Duty game. Unfortunately, I don't want to say that because I love having a new Call of Duty every year. It's nice, but when you have problems like this go down, you kind of have to. You kind of have to. Now, I wouldn't mind it if 2021 doesn't have a new COD, but they they update the shit out of Modern Warfare 4 and Black Ops 5. They have all sorts of new updates. They have all sorts of new DLC all throughout 2021 for MW4 and for Black Ops 5. And maybe have a remastered COD that year. I don't know. Remaster a game. Give us World of War remastered or something like that. Add some more stuff onto it. You don't need a new Call of Duty that year. So then 2022 can be Infinity Ward's next game, and then they can go back on track and finally have something that works. All this information, to me, is not that bad of news. The only portion of it that I think is really bad and upsetting is how it's going to affect Black Ops 4. Because Black Ops 4, we know, has a whole second year of content ready to come out. They're planning to come out, a whole second year of content. I was, betting on the fact that this game was going to be one of the best Call of Duties when it's all said and done. Right now, it's in, it's not the best COD, it's not the worst either. It's just kind of in the middle. I always said Black Ops 4, when it's all said and done, after all the DLC, after all the new updates, after all the new zombie maps, it's going to be a solid-ass game. But they're going to have to cut that content short because they are now working on this next game. They just probably started. They probably are already in the development studios with Raven and Sledgehammer working on this next game. Obviously, they still have people working on Black Ops 4. They still have people who need to finish off the game. But we were expecting, a whole second DLC season and stuff like that for zombies, for example. Probably not going to get that anymore. What's probably going to happen, which this could also be good news for some people, what's probably going to happen is that second DLC content season is probably just going to come over into Black Ops 5. The reason why I think that's good is because a lot of people, including myself, aren't a big fan of Black Ops 4's mechanics. So if they're going to take these maps in a whole new game and continue the Chaos story, continue the Ether remakes and stuff like that, into a brand new game with new mechanics that might be a lot better than Black Ops 4's system, that's a good thing, in my opinion. But we'll have to wait another whole year to get it rather than having it next year, which is what I expected. So if Modern Warfare 4 really doesn't have zombies, that could very well mean we are not going to have a whole year of any zombies content. Because what we were all expecting, which was what they're planning, is that 2019 or 2020, I guess, from 2019 to 2020 was going to be the second season of zombie content, right? But if they're going to be working on this next game, there's no way in hell they're going to continue those projects. Continue the projects for Black Ops 4 at least. They're probably going to continue those for Black Ops 5. But have they been working on them? That's the thing. If they have, I don't know how they could take that stuff and move it to Black Ops 5 engine. And how the hell is Black Ops 5 even going to work? Is it going to be Treyarch's engine or is it going to be Sledgehammer's engine? Because they don't work on the same things. There's a very distinct feel that each of these games have. Is it going to feel more like a Sledgehammer game? Or is it going to feel more like a Treyarch game? Is it going to feel more like a Raven game? I don't know. So I think we should all not take this as bad news. We shouldn't really take it as good news either, because, if it all went how it was supposed to go, and we were going to get Modern Warfare 4, which we still are, and then we were going to get some Cold War era game 2020 by Sledgehammer and Raven, and then we would have a new Treyarch game in 2021. It would be more constructive. It would be more together, which is good. But I think this can also be a good thing, because for a fan of Treyarch and Sledgehammer, I like both studios, and Raven did pretty great work on Modern Warfare Remastered. I think they can put together a solid-ass game. They still have another year and basically they have another 2 years basically to develop this game. Now a little bit less, like a year and a half to develop this game. I think they can do it. I think they can. I think they can put this game together and make it work. Will it be a perfect game? I don't know. It's not going to be anything amazing because they haven't had the full time of development, but you have to realize Black Ops 4 didn't have the full time to develop it either. They had all sorts of scrapping done. So I think in terms of content, it's going to be similar to Black Ops 4, which people say Black Ops 4 had like no content, but in terms of zombies and Blackout, it had some decent stuff to play with at launch. And I think they can do the same, especially with triple the amount of people working on it. I think they can put something solid together. Regardless, we still have Modern Warfare 4 this year, which is really exciting. I'm hella excited for that game because they've had such a long time to work on it. What I'm nervous about is microtransactions because, look, I'm not a big fan of them. I don't think anyone is, right? I don't mind them, though. I can accept them when they're in games. But apparently, according to the sources that gave us information, apparently Activision's not happy with how Black Ops 4 did, money-wise. Not like the game itself, the content, like the microtransactions. They're not happy with that. How much money they made. They haven't made much money off of the microtransactions, which I'm not surprised about. When you sell things in the shop for $15 for like just a couple camos, no one's going to want to buy that. So I'm not really surprised that they didn't make much money off the store in this game. But that could be a good thing. That could also be a bad thing. That could mean they're going to make the microtransactions more immense, or they're going to make them cheaper so more people will want to buy them. I don't want to know. I want this game to be good. I want all these different Call of Duties to be good. People need to realize that the microtransactions are led by Activision. Yes, I'm sure Sledgehammer probably tried to negotiate with them more often. I'm sure Treyarch's not trying as hard, but I think that's why Treyarch's just in a better position when it comes to Call of Duty, because the Treyarch's team is still there. They still have a lot of... They're the biggest development team by far, at least to the best of my knowledge. Infinity Ward might be bigger now. I don't know, since a lot of returning people came back, which that's also really good to hear that Infinity Ward is looking really good as a studio. But I've always had this thought in my mind. I've always had that thought of development teams coming together and creating one Call of Duty, and I never expected it to be an actual reality. But the fact that we're getting that is intriguing. I don't want to say it's bad because I don't think it's bad. I just think it's intriguing. I think we should all just give it a chance, give it a shot, and it might all turn out to be good in the end. I have high hopes for it. I hope you guys do too. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.